All right, we are starting our broadhead testing here at Wapatiware, and we have our RX1 Hoyt at 80 pounds, 28-inch draw. We have a Bowtech, I can't remember what it's called, doesn't matter. This is my father's bow. It's set at somewhere around 65 pounds. He also has a 28-inch draw. And then we have my wife's setup. It's a Bowtech Realm X. This bow is set up at a 26.5-inch draw and 50 pounds. So we're gonna shoot right now. The first arrow up is going to be the iron wills. With the Hoyt, the 80-pound Hoyt is gonna be shooting these Serious archery products. They're a Apollo. I have an Ethics Archery outsert insert stainless steel, 225 grain total weight up front. Comes out to right around 22% FOC with a 100 grain tip. This is a 125 iron will with the bleeders, so it comes out just slightly higher. So let's take a crack into our target, which is our simulated elk shoulder. All right, so this is our target for our broadhead test. We have our ballistics gel with our beef bone. You can see that in there. It's basically just a leg bone. So we lay that up against our target. This is going to simulate our quarter. This is going to simulate going through the insides and into the other shoulder. Well, this is the other shoulder. We don't suspect they'll go that far. Here's our elk hide. Everybody knows what that looks like. You can see it's super thick, wiry hair. So it's going to dull up blades real fast, which is what we're hoping for. You guys have to understand that this video is just showing you what these broadheads and bow setups are going to do, shooting them through elk hair, through ballistic gel, which simulates meat, into a bone, or glancing of a bone into the insides. We're not trying to say one broadhead's better than the other, because honestly, you cannot hit the exact same spot with every single broadhead with every single bow setup. So we're just putting this out there so you can see what happens. All right. We changed our yardage. In our original ideas, it was going to be 30 yards. We just with the amount of broadheads and the cost of these broadheads, we can't shoot them from that far, because if we miss, then we have to buy new broadheads to do the test over. So we are shooting at 10 yards with the iron wills and my Hoyt. First up. Broke that arrow right in half.
What the hell?
Right? Make sure you're recording. All right, first arrow is broken. These are the Apollo 250s. But what we also need to understand is this is like the bulk of the knuckle, and that's what I was aiming for with the strongest bow. So if we want to show them right now.
Yeah, yep.
All right, we'll peel this back so we can see.
Oh yeah, it hit right at the top of it.
Oh, that's what happened.
See that?
Yep. So what happened here is it went through the hide, makes a nice cut through the hide. It looks like it caught the top of the knuckle, and I'm guessing that flex.
Deflected.
Yep, when it deflected up, which if I would have hit here, it just would have been a stick. Deflected up, cut. Look at that though. Dude, that split right through the bone. It went all the way through that. Just completely cut through the bone. Where's the broadhead?
That's what, yeah, where's the
right
other
there.
half of the arrow?
Dude, it's in this target. It would have snapped the arrow off and still went through the elk. I mean, obviously it went on top of the bone, but if it would have caught a side glance, still deflecting, it would have, because it has such a high FOC, obviously that's probably why it broke the arrow.
Carries the energy through.
Yep, carried the energy, and check this out. Like, it went through, these targets are made to stop an arrow. And it sent it, it's all the way in this other target. It was, you just pulled it away, but it was at least had probably a good 2 inches in.
Yeah.
That is impressive. So let's keep shooting. All right, we have the Bowtech Icon. I remember what it's called now. Bowtech Icon, 65 pounds, 28-inch draw. It's my father's bow. He hunts elk with it. And he has a, and we're actually, so yesterday's testing we used Element Arrow Fire and Ice, which I don't think was fair because the whole test for this bow was supposed to be based on super light arrow with no FOC. So the Fire and Ice does have an outsert that adds weight to the front, so that's increasing FOC. So we're just shooting these Gold Tip Hunter Pros 400s. Element Arrow Fire and Ice. It's a lighter arrow, it's a 400 spine, so it's a lighter arrow because he's trying to get a little more speed out of it. We are going to see what this 125 grain iron will does to our elk target.
Should be pretty good.
That was pretty good for a 65-pound bull.
Yeah.
I'm liking that. That's definitely enough penetration. I bet we caught, by the looks of it, that it's cocked to the angle. It must have caught the side of the bone. We'll pull it away. Knock is slightly out, so it definitely hit the bone. You can see that. But I'm guessing it glanced off the bone because it's a big two blade and kept going. But that's enough penetration to kill an elk, 100%. Pull it away. You can see left, again, nice cut through the hide. And oh wow, that's right in the bottom of the knuckle. So that's legit. Through there, pull it away. Yeah, it went right out the bottom of the knuckle and into our target. And we made it into the second target. Yeah. Wow, that's with a 65-pound bow that is not a high IBO shooter. It's a good bow for like older gentlemen and stuff, which is why we wanted to shoot that bow. So cool. That's still got plenty of penetration, and it hit right into our bone, and it's into the third target. So we're gonna work on getting that out, and then we're gonna shoot the third setup. We just unthreaded the broadhead so we could get it, pull it through the bone here, the knuckle and the target. And I can tell you right now, that's like, that will still slice paper. That is super sharp, crazy sharp. So that is definitely a winner in my book. Now we're shooting my wife's bow, the Bowtech Realm X, 50 pounds, 26.5-inch draw length. And we have Serious Archery Apollo's 400 spine with the Ethics Archery stainless aluminum, which is a total, I think with these ones, like 120 grains up front. Puts our FOC, I'll post all the FOCs with the videos, but I think it's, I can't remember, but I think it's somewhere close to 20%. But with a iron will, 125 grain, that extra 25 grain, I bet you definitely puts it at 20% FOC. So, here we go. Made a hell of a schwack.
Yeah, that hit bone.
Go ahead and turn that one off. Oh wow. Yeah, that one hit dead center bone. No penetration at all, which is to be expected with 50 pounds and that low of a. Great cut through, dead center. This is the only one that hit dead center in the bone. You can see right into that leg bone. But look at that though. That broadhead is like, I don't want to say it, but footballs deep into that bone.
Right.
Like it's in there, because this is the outsert.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if that one's coming out. We might have to just thread that one out.
Pull that later.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, looking at it, that's way in there. It might even, I bet it went through the bone, or into the other side of the bone. I bet you it went through into the other side of the bone. We won't be able to pull that one out. Yeah, there's the thread, and that's right there's bone. So that broadhead is literally all the way into that bone onto the other side with a 50-pound bow with a 26.5-inch draw length. We are back up. We got the Hoyt again, the 80-pound Hoyt with the Serious Archery Apollo 250s with a lot of weight up front. It's like 22%, 23%, probably more than that with these 125 grain Grizzlystik. I'm gonna mess this up. Maasai? It might be Messiah. I'm not sure. So anyway, you know what they are. They're a huge single bevel, crazy sharp. They are one of our premium heads, so they're crazy expensive. We're gonna send it into an elk bone.
Same thing, I'll aim for upper knuckle.
Somebody glanced left.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's hard shooting a ball.
All right, same thing. Left a very nice slice. It's only a 2-blade, so you're gonna have less of a, definitely hit knuckle though. You're gonna have less of a hole on your hide, but we hit solid knuckle through the knuckle. You can see through the ballistic shell, still sliced into the leg, into the vitals, and we have, what do you say that is? 3 inches or so, 2.5 inches of penetration. I don't know.
Maybe one lung.
Yeah, single lung. That's a questionable one. Oh, we lost our knock too. That's a questionable one. I'm not sure if that would kill an elk. It definitely went through the bone. It definitely went through the bone. So here's the other thing. Like, let's make this clear. This is a knuckle. Like, no broadhead should be going through these. This is a beef knuckle. These things are like this big around. So if you hit, I am confident though, if you took this broadhead and this arrow and that setup and you hit a bull in the shoulder, I think it would go through it. Just enough to, you're not gonna probably pass through, but that's definitely gonna be enough to kill the bull for sure. In the shoulder. The shoulder blade, I'm sorry, the shoulder blade. But this is solid knuckle, which we wanted to take our biggest, heaviest bow with our biggest, heaviest arrows and send them through the hardest. Icon, 65 pounds. The fire and ice. And the Grizzlystik Messiah, Maasai, something. Rocking her into the old elk shit. As you can see, we're losing light really fast, so bear with us as we try to get these last few off. That was dead center bone.
Yeah.
All right, no penetration, which is to be expected. Definitely, there's our cut in the hide. Dead center into the bone. We did not get much penetration at all. Less than the iron will with my wife's 50-pound setup. So I think I could probably wiggle this one loose. Yep, we'll get this one out. All right, yeah, good enough to shoot at another one.
Right on.
We have the last one of the night, my wife's bow, Bowtech, with the 125 grain Grizzlystik Messiah Maasai Ferguson fingers. We're gonna send her downrange. Now, if you remember that iron will, it's sunk broadhead deep into the bone. We'll try to see if we can copy that. Definitely hit bone, for sure. How's the quality?
Doesn't look bad.
All the knocks are gone. Blowing knocks. All right. Okay, same as the rest of them. Feels like we broke something. Through the ballistic shell, sliced her. There you go. broke the, if you can check this out, caught the leg bone. Looks like it caught it flat this way, and must have been enough because of her high FOC. The arrow wanted to keep continuing forward, and it broke the broadhead.
Yeah.
Broke the ferrule. So it broke it right at the screw. Obviously, that's going to be a weak point in any broadhead, in any ferrule. So, cool. I mean, you got, also, that's no diss to these broadheads. You have to understand, like, we're driving them into solid bone. So, like, just because this broadhead broke does not mean that the broadhead's junk. You just seen with 2 other bows, it's driving crazy deep into this bone. So, it was just the angle that it hit matched with high FOC, and it just a weak spot in that ferrule just snapped her right off. Let's see if we can find the broadhead. That should be in here somewhere. Oh wow. There's part of it. Yeah, it's hard to see that. It's like sideways. Well, you would have sent some shrapnel
Right.
into them. That's just part of it. So there's the bottom of the blade. It went through right. Oh, check that out too. Okay, so just so you know, I had to cut this bone down to fit in here from the leg bone, and I put it in the center just in case something like this happened, we would catch more bone. It caught this bone too. It did. Yeah, because right there, that's that glance. Took a chunk out of the bone. It took a chunk out of that bone there though. And then it looks like it kind of, well, that's some meat. I took some of that meat out. I'm sure it was just like shrapnel when it come through here. There's parts of the ballistics gel in here. I don't even know where the rest of the blade is.
You'll find it with your finger.
Yeah. All right, we are gonna pull this ballistics gel apart, and we're gonna show you what the bone looks like. So we got big piece here. As much of this off as possible because we're going to remelt this down for more targets. All right. That bone. So obviously this is my wife's bow, shot this iron will. Buried that. Definitely did not come out the other side, clearly. I mean, that's a solid bone, so there's no broadhead that's going through it, but that's pretty respectable. That thing is solid. We're gonna have to cut the bone to get that one out. Curious to see what that looks like. So, still, with the 80-pound Hoyt, I shot at, you can see this is the bulk of the bone here. So with my 80-pound Hoyt and the 650 grain arrows with a 22 or 20, probably a 24% FOC with 125s, I was shooting the biggest part of the bone because I wanted to show what that the more powerful bow would do to the bulk of the bone here. And this piece here, you can see this is solid bone, and that Grizzlystik, Maasai, Maasai, whatever, it literally went right through it, right through the bone. Here's the exit. That's through the bone. This is all solid bone. I ain't got anything to smack it with, but it was this broadhead right there, solid bone, 2-blade. And it went right through the bone. It was sticking in the other side. Whether it would have killed an elk, I don't know. But that's also, like, that's a solid 1.5 2 inches of bone that it went right through. We also have the 80-pound Hoyt hit right there, which is right at the top of the knuckle, which is still in the bone. We thought at first that it kind of hit and glanced, which it did only because when it went through the bone, it angled up, which broke the arrow, but it went completely through the bone, just completely annihilated the bone, and all the way out the other side. Came out this side and was stuck. The arrow actually went through the target and into the back target. So you would have been pulling that broadhead and what was left of the arrow out of the opposite shoulder. So these iron wills, they're definitely doing well. Here's what's left of it here. It did booger up the broadhead quite a bit. It took the tonto tip out, one of the bleeders. The sides though, they're still razor sharp, and to be expected for the tonto tip and that bleeder when you're going through a beef knuckle. So again, both of these broadheads would have blown right through a shoulder. I'm pretty confident. I honestly even think that with a 50-pound bow with a 26.5-inch draw length, I still think that this bow, or with either one of these broadheads and this bow, would have penetrated through an elk shoulder blade and into the vitals. Probably single lung with the lower poundage. With the 80-pound Hoyt and the 650 arrow, you probably would have had stuck into the other side, and it would have been a dead elk pretty quick. So this is our bone. We'll go over. This was the broken one. You can see it went right into here, caught right through there, and then deflected up, which broke the arrow. That's one downfall of high FOCs. You're going to break arrows, but that tip had enough momentum that even going through this bone, it still went through the target and into the second target. So, which one was down here? We're going to look at this one. So, this Grizzlystik Maasai broke off with the ferrule. We couldn't find much of the rest of it. All we have is just a piece of the blade. Broke off right at the ferrule. That one hit right there. I think what happened was because of we have this Serious Archery Apollo 400s with the FX archery system up front, 125 grains or 120 grains up front, not counting the head. There was so much momentum in the front of the arrow continuing through that what it did is it just snapped that Grizzlystik right off. It was just too much for it. But it did deflect. So when it hit this bone, it deflected at an angle, which is what broke the broadhead. Didn't break the arrow, but broke the broadhead. So it took a chunk out of the bone. That's bone right there. Took a chunk right out of the bone, and then it sent the rest of the broadhead as shrapnel out the back side. So there was also, we didn't pull it out here, there was another piece here. This was a piece of bone that we cut off of this leg bone because it was too long, and we just stuck it in there. Oh yeah, there's a chunk out of that one too. So we shoved this down in here, and it actually took a chunk out of this one too. There's a piece of that bone missing. So it ended up actually taking out, it reflected off this one, hit this bone, and then kept going. And we found pieces of the broadhead in the target behind the bone. So it kept continuing through all of this ballistics gel, and it was in the target. So we caught one into the corner of the knuckle. It seems like it didn't hit bone, but it definitely did. I can feel it. I can't, unless, apart from tearing this bone apart, I can't show you, but it split the bone. I believe it was my father's bow, which was a 65-pound Icon and a lighter arrow setup. But that bone is split inside there, and then it continued through, so that one would have killed an elk too. So we're gonna quick go over with a close-up of the iron wills and the Grizzlystiks. We're gonna show you kind of what happened to the blades. These are made out of the iron wills. S125s are made out of A2 tool steel and a grade 5 titanium ferrule, and it definitely shows because these things are almost indestructible. This was shot out of the 80-pound Hoyt, and it caught the top of the knuckle. It did go completely through bone, and it came out the top, breaking the arrow. You've seen that one. You can see the bleeders are pretty banged up, the one side. The other side is, you can see there is some marks on it. But the actual blades themselves are extremely sharp. Still, extremely sharp. The only thing that really got boogered up was the tip, the Tonto tip there. I feel like it's interesting that the side blades, this broadhead, went through bone, and the side blades are completely sharp. Like you could shave with that side blade. All right. Then it was the 65-pound Bowtech. This one caught one of these side blades. You can see the tip is marred up. That tip caught and it deflected the arrow to the side. Bleeder blades are in perfect condition. They didn't hit any bone. It caught a side. Same thing though, really sharp. Extremely sharp sides. Last up, this was the one shot on my wife's bow. And if you remember, this broadhead hit dead center into the bone. And this one looks very good. The looks like the bleeder blades are a little marred up on the one side there. But other than that, this one's in great condition and extremely sharp. All right, on to the Grizzly sticks. So this one was shot out of the Hoyt, the 80-pound Hoyt. You can see it went completely through a knuckle, and when it did, you can see that it chipped all along. Just chipped the blade all along there. Almost like it's serrated. Everything else is really good though. Tip is super sharp. The blades themselves are still super sharp. This was the one shot out of the 65-pound Bowtech. Got a little bit of serrated, same thing up the front. That's the one that stopped. It only got about that much penetration into the bone with the 65-pound Hoyt, or 65-pound Bowtech. And then this is the one shot out of my wife's 50-pound bow, and you can see that it snapped it off right at the ferrule. That is what we found for the bottom of the broadhead. We could not find any more of it. We don't know where it went, but there's still half a broadhead missing from that. All right, stay tuned, guys. We're going to be shooting this weekend. We're going to try to shoot the Valkyries. We're going to try to shoot the Day 6 Evos, and we're going to try to shoot the Solid Legends. So we'll shoot the Solid Legend and the Day 6 Evos together. They're very similar. We'll do that probably tomorrow, and then Monday morning, I'll probably post these videos as we go. Monday morning, we're going to be shooting the Valkyries. And maybe another one, but we try to do more of the premium heads together so we can see what these expensive broadheads do when you're smashing them in the bone. So, all right guys, stick with us.